Good morning. Happy Friday. Let's see where things are at here. So we got the movement day yesterday, finally. Most of it was on a gap. Yeah, I'm going to bring up the charts any second here. There we go. Here's one that's not in the happy column today. Gapping down. I don't know what the news was, but I guess that one crashed back to earth. Well, I guess it started crashing a long time ago, but that's a ugly gap to the downside. Why? Flight delayed. I guess so. Owning a stock with pattern like that, always going to be questionable, but so it happens. All right, markets. Markets were able to get past, yesterday they were actually, this gapped up, go back and review what we looked at yesterday. They had gapped up to about, I guess it was around here, somewhere around, I think it was right around here, whatever. And they were able to get a little further. And you see, here's the move. And looking at this without the gap, that's a climactic sell setup. Now, that's a counter trend trade. Do you trade climactic sell setups? Well, I do, but not in the time frame that I see it in, like this, 60-minute chart. I know it's climactic. I see that the momentum stalls, right? Little candle body up there, candle range contraction. And then you go to the 5-minute, and as this starts to roll over, the 5-minute, what I covered in that event yesterday and how I talk about it in the green room every day, the alignment on the 5-minute being right. Well, that allows a short trade against this trend when it gets believed to be extended. So anyway, overnight, here it is. It's a further higher, which we can see the little bar right there, right into the prior high. So part of our conversations over the last, 2 weeks, as this was whipping back and forth and this started to develop, whether this could be a head and shoulders bottom, a little bit of a sloppy one, but looks like yes. Now what? Well, the depth of retracement up to this high is considered bullish, which we can see this reversal on the weekly time frame. And so now what is it going to do at this high? Well, based on what we call a power bar, right? A wide range, big green bar like that. Again, it's a futures chart, so it's 24 hours. It says it's going to go higher. So at resistance, what does it do? Well, it may do the 100% retracement thing, which from that point, I'd be willing to bet it starts falling. How much? No idea, but it shouldn't fall enough to negate the bias created by this bar. So as this develops today, it's got room to go higher. Look over there to the left, scrunch up, ask for more data. And roll that up here. And we got those two prior high areas, give or take. Let's make it 4470 for good measure. Most of the time, the options, and I haven't looked, are going to be at 4475. Just kind of the way it is. And where the larger open interest would be. So it has room to go up. You can see here, there's really nothing to the left here. That doesn't mean it's going there. It just means that there's nothing to stop it. So now, momentum is stalling. That doesn't mean it'll stop going up. We just make an observation as to what is. The trend is still up. Notice how strong the trend was on the hourly, no pivots. So then when it got formed that climactic. It went up, pivot, right? Buyers stepped up in this area where there would have been pivots on smaller time frames. And now the distance between the highs is getting smaller. Momentum stalled. We don't have a red bar here yet. Assuming it does, and we've got a whole lot of time, you can see 52 and a half minutes to go before this bar forms. But should it become a red bar, well, we say, well, wow, momentum stalled even more in the area of prior high. Markets are really, this market anyway, is really getting tired, and it might begin to roll over on a short-term basis. To what point? Maybe it comes down here where buyers will step up again, right? We don't know. So the thought process, right? What we do is a thought process. We build a thought process. We had this downward move. It found some support here. Maybe it was going to roll over here. It didn't. Now it's come all the way back up and it's taken out this pivot high. Now that pivot high isn't major resistance, the way we define it. This high is major resistance. So it hasn't violated this downward trending move yet. However, the depth of retracement puts it into question. Right? That's the thought process. That's MTS thought process, as I'm explaining it, what would be in the course, right? That this is what's guiding our thinking here now. So it's a very important point as to what it's going to do here. Sideways, go through it, just rip right up to new all-time highs. Just keeps running, ridiculous bar after bar, whatever it's going to do. Or does it start coming down into what we call the weakest link? How could the power bar be the weakest link? Well, there's no support. It just ran up, buying, traders, investors, hedge funds, whatever, falling all over themselves. I got to get in the market. No fear, no hesitancy. I know it's going up. Just buy. Right? You got to get in. And so unless it creates support somewhere in here in our thought process, okay, now it's got to stay above 44, right? 4,400, ideally. If it dips down, which it shouldn't dip down very much, we want to see it ideally stay up here. Now we'll see what actually happens. Down trend is challenged, not yet broken. Correct, Tony. Right. So the downtrend, it's one way of saying it, it's challenged. When we look at this from retracements from pivot high to pivot low and getting back up to what would change the trend, trading above the prior area of major resistance. Okay. The other part of our thought process and analysis says, if this thing can trade and close 80% into this move down, right, this is in question. This keeps our thought process aligned with what is. Right? So is it totally bullish yet? No. It's still neutral. Right. It's exactly, McGraw. It's neutral. So, and then if we look at this and go to the spiders or SPX, right, which got a bunch of lines in there, and you got these gaps up and down, and it's coming up in up in here. That's another level. See whether it can get through, but it's still a whippy, erratic chart. Now, one of the things historically that happens is that big sustainable moves often happen from some type of range contraction. Now, this market has been very emotional and schizophrenic. I've used that word. And, so can it continue to rip? Of course it can. But it's the type of market, it's moving that quickly. How do you manage the trade? Well, big stops, small positions. The bars are so big, you sit on your hands or you look for intraday. entry points. And so McGraw saying it's opening up at 44.60. So, this gap up makes sense, right? It pulled back and it gapped up. And so it rallied and it was able to keep going. Now, this gap up, I kind of like call that a dirty Harry trade. Like, you feel lucky, punk? A second gap up right into a prior pivot high. Do you want to buy that right on the open? I think you have to be an idiot now, or just unknowledgeable. But what if it gaps up and it doesn't go down, or it goes down and it forms a bottoming tail bar or some kind of downside shakeout? Maybe it's just a crazy Friday day and this thing is going to go up here. But let's give it a little time, to form some kind of a pattern that would support a belief that it can continue up. This thing might open up and get slammed right back down under these pivots. And that could set up a trend down day. I mean, this market has been wild. Look at these bars here. I mean, this was the beginning of the way down, but, red, big green, big red, big green, and so on. So, kind of some wild price action that's been going on here through this period of inflation, Fed, China, Corona, mandates. I mean, what else are they going to come up with? So, SPX today. I think that I didn't get a chance to look at the preems, but let's just see here. I would just go as high as possible. 44.60 is $7. Wouldn't that be nice? $4,500. Anywhere up in here. Right, 4,500. There's a little bit of premium. So if the market was to go up in the first 15 minutes, and then started to peak, maybe you get 1,000 NYSE tick reading, you could do a call spread above 4,500. Those premiums will come up a little bit. So I would go up there. On the downside, $380. Down here, I may appear to be safe. I mean, I would not think this market's going to give back all of yesterday's gain, right? But what if if this thing really started to fall apart? So I don't know. You can go all the way down here. I think that's reasonable. I think you have to assess what's going on in the first few minutes of the day. I just read here. I'm trying to sign up, but never received an email back. Carlos, email me, greg@mastertrader.com. I'm not sure what you're trying to sign up for, but I will see to it that it gets fixed. Hello, S&P 500 could be a repair to turn back the uptrend. Hey, Diego. Well, yes, that's what's going on here in a wild, whippy way. So, look, downward move, wild price action, holding the lows. It retraces here. Buyer, pretty much it was just technical trading, right? Buying at support. Right, just whipped back. It gapped up, came up into this gap fill area, got sold. Buyers at support again. And yesterday, the party day, we talked about, throughout the whole week about that big open interest over here and getting through it. And that all ends this morning as far as those being closed. So this gap up, kind of like the markets, free in a sense as to, not influenced by these open option positions, open interest. So we'll see what happens. It's opening here. Not that the 50 makes any difference, McGraw, but it's a widely followed moving average, and opening up above that, I don't think. Well, from my point of view, maybe it gives some institutions a vote of confidence that it's gapping above that. If it can close above it, that would be viewed by institutions as a green light, how they see it anyway. But what we call repairing the damage, algos buying above the 50, I really don't know, but those things, they buy and sell faster than you can blink your eye. And so I don't know. I mean, it's gapping right up into this resistance area. And after such a run, I would think sellers are going to show up to take profits, Anyways, spiders just above 444. 444. Right here, right at the pivot high. It's already backed off from there. We'll see. Can it stay up there all day? If it can stay up here, or go sideways there all day, well, that's going to be a positive. Qs. I don't know if that's real, all that whipsaw going on there. 367.5 or so. Gapping a little bit above the green bar, still below the 50. If it can stay above here, 5, 10, 15 minutes and take out the high, that could rally further. And it's probably, not probably, it would be a better bet than ES, trading ES. Better to do the NQs for this to play catch up to reach its area of resistance, if that's in the cards. And of course, you can see if Apple and Microsoft and, the others are rallying. Actually, at some point yesterday morning, they weren't doing so well, but, Zoom and PayPal and some others were doing the heavy lifting. So, yeah, I think that, as far as longs go, if that is going to play out, I'd rather go with the NQs than the ES. And the financials yesterday, they came back from the sell-off that they had, but overall, these things are just a mess. I mean, things just have to clean up, and maybe that's going to happen. I don't know. I meant to type GS. So Wild and Whippy, maybe this is going to come out of the blocks next week. Be one of the things that I'll be looking at to see if these financials, after reporting earnings and this Whippy price action, whether it tightens up. And so that would be a good sign for the markets. Right? Russell, getting better. It's at the top of the range here. It's been in this mess of moving averages, and looking at IWM, it gapped up, and it's still in these tops here. I think FedEx maybe has bottomed, Mohammed. I mean, it's been down. And hold on here. It's down here, and there's really no support, but it's creating support. And that's, we can look at there as a void, and that leads us to think, hey, this thing can go all the way down here. Well, maybe it can, but there's some buying going on here. And on the retest, buyer showed up again. Now, it didn't have some monstrous day. As the markets went up, it had gapped up and it held near that pivot. It didn't go down. So if this can get above here, go sideways, form a bottoming tail bar, bar by bar analysis, this has got a shot of a counter trend trade. Let me continue here and be done. Give it to Dan. The Dow took out these highs. It has been the stronger. It was the weaker on the way down. It's still all whippy, terrible type of price action. But this one's got the best shot of going up here and, in this market making new all-time highs. We can't fight the markets, but I think it's total BS, based on if this thing making new all-time highs and all the other things that are going on here. But it certainly looks like it's very possible to do that. And you know what? Whatever I think or not, I look at what's happening in the markets and I see the transports coming back that far into that area of price resistance after making a new low. And that's positive, So what it does here, that's going to be important. And it should hold up. So reaching those pivot highs, whether it jiggles around here, it should hold up and then move higher. So the Dow making new all-time highs. And, maybe we're not going to get, the October, move lower. We're into the middle of the month here. And the middle of the month sometimes is a turning point. A lot of times it's a turning point. And, the internals here, this is moving up to an extreme, so it's got some space that this thing could go further, but we'll go with, I think today could be a choppy day since the move yesterday, and we'll see how far it pulls back or the lack thereof. Bitcoin is up here again. Biden needs Christmas to happen, set a tone. Biden won't even know if Christmas comes and passes, right? They're just going to give him a cup of cocoa and he'll just think it's a same old, another day. Oh, thank you very much. Anything going on? Don't worry about it. Crude, continuing to go higher. Don't worry about inflation. Silver. Gold is just wild. It's just wild. Maybe it's just making something here. It's been more of a day trading type of thing, but just goes from happy days to depression day to day. So anyway, Dan can cover Apple, but I'll just poke it there for a second. We're taking too much time. Maybe Apple's bottoming. If the market's going to bottom, Apple's going to bottom, but there are better looking things. I mean, it's an institutional favorite, but it's a broken stock. So I don't see this as a high probability trade, a swing trade, but it's going to hit resistance here. And there are other things that look a lot better. So all yours, Dan.
Good morning. Happy DTE day. All our opens are fine. I've been tightening stops, particularly on our 0 DTE ones that are expiring today. Tesla is one of them here, and that's acting beautiful pre-market here. Gapped up, little bull flag breaking out. So we'll just bid a penny for the back half. But everything looks good, so I'll just go right to a couple gappers here. Yeah, FedEx, yeah, so W bottom retest. I said yesterday into the close, UPS has a beautiful 15-minute chart for a day trade. We got to wait here with the gap, obviously, in the market. HUT, this is a Bitcoin stock now. It's bullish price action at resistance here. Gapping up. I'm not going to do anything with it today, but depending on how it closes, maybe next week we can buy the high. Mara is a Bitcoin stock that I follow. Same, at these prior highs. We nailed them. The right entry was around here. Run is a solar. Fizzler's been ripping, Tan's been ripping, but what got my attention was this weekly. This could be, Greg, I texted it to you. This could be a core entry right here. Target 60 65. I don't know. But that's a beautiful weekly right there. Need a big stop because of the daily run. Grub here, gapping up from a W bottom, so that it's an ADR, but that looks great. It's exactly what it is. It's a gap up from a W bottom. It looks great. ADTN. Why am I looking at you? It must be earnings. I like the converging MAs. So if it can break out, I like that. Myrna, yeah, it had this pop yesterday afternoon on the news that the FDA approved the booster. And I guess now it's in the headlines, which is, the news was out yesterday. So, you know, why did it sell off and why is it now gapping up whatever points? But it looks higher. TFC, kind of a bold rectangle that we can find better. AA, gapping up $52 to the prior high. We'll come back to you. Boeing, I read the news. You know, I didn't know what the news was yesterday, but the cover of the Wall Street Journal today is their chief pilot got indicted on criminal charges for, you know, frauding the information on that 737 MAX. That is not good news for that pilot or Boeing. Goldman here, beautiful, beautiful bullish gap. I'm going to keep an eye on that for a put spread. Thomas, XPEV. It's bullish, but I don't like the way it trades, number one, or all that junk to the left. So I think we can find better. Ego is a gold stock, gapping down. So I don't know what your question is, but my bias would be day trade short based on the gap breakdown on the 15. Soxel. Yeah, gapped up, W bottom, gapping up, $42. Yeah, 15, 30-minute high, whatever, looks good. I said in the nightly video, I was bullish here. I said I said it a couple of times, provided we don't get a bearish gap down. I was fully bullish for today, for at least one more day. And then we would see, you know, what happened in terms of, you know, going sideways or retracement next week. But diamonds, you know, that's a bullish, big continuation gap. Surely not chasing it, but it's bullish. It's run too much. IWM, I was looking to sell a put spread yesterday and there was no juice, but this is a massive symmetrical triangle. With a nice bottoming tail bar there on Wednesday. Q's, I said in the video, my target was, you know, right there at the 50 MA gap fill. Trip I've been watching here, TRIP, breaking out. I like daily, weekly, monthly. So we'll see what it does in the first 30 minutes. Our Roku down a little bit. We got one put spread for today and another put spread for next week. Let me see where our today one is. We got the 312, 302. Wow, tick over 1200.
They opened at 2,000 yesterday.
You're kidding. I don't think I've ever seen that number.
Not in recent history, but I've seen it, yeah.
All right, so, you know, with theta, time decay, we're obviously making more money on the Roku that expires today. I mean, just think about it, common sense, you know. It has to fall. or else your contract is going to expire worthless at 4 p.m. 3/23/40. So we'll just, let this thing play out. But we got a nice gain locked in. Boyd, I have an up alarm. Oh, we shorted puts yesterday on Boyd. It's up $1.60, I see here. Very nice. $3.38. Roku. HUT, H-U-T, is moving nicely. All right. So Boyd, we shorted $60 puts. That looks good. We're also in MGM from the